Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Studio Reverie's reading of Arc 6. We're reading chapters 77 to 78 today. We got a little smaller cast today, as people are coming back from vacations and stuff. We have just posted my Arc 7 analysis with the boys on the podcast, so if you are caught up with the story, you guys can take a look at that podcast. You're welcome. We're going to try to plan one, so we have another one for next week, but we might have a bit of delay. As we are trying to backlog a few more podcasts. But the boys are not ready to continue on with Arc 9 just yet. The face isn't fully ready. And if we're lucky, I'll be caught up by the time they do it. I think that's it for our announcements. Yep, that's it. We are still working on progressing through our Arc 6 re-recorded versions of the chapter. There won't be too many changes as I'm seeing how much work is ahead of us. So we're changing things up for Arc 7, so it's going to be way more smooth. Arc 7 will be fully pre-recorded while we do Arcs 2 to 4 live for you instead, so that we get to have lots more fun with you guys, have a good time, vibe out all together. Yes, sorry for the 10-minute delay, plus the 10-minute intro. Apologies. We're about to get started. And I think that's it. Arc 7 is well on the way. We have just released stuff for our voice actors to record up to Phase 4. I'll be releasing Phase 5, Phase 6 in the next few days. And then we have to tweak up all of these side stories. So yay, that's what we're going to do. But today we're going to focus on Arc 6. I'm going to bring everybody on and we're going to introduce ourselves.
Love sausages.
All right, we're live. We're live.
Hello. Hello. Hey,
Not
hey,
the
we weren't
sausages
saying
again.
anything.
I don't know why I delayed when not saying it. I just wanted to hear sausages, I guess.
Don't
worry about it.
Don't worry about
Yeah, no, it's we weren't saying anything.
it. Anyways, let's introduce ourselves top to bottom.
Hello, everyone. I am Al. I am the guy that is back in the basement after, a whole week of missing it. Hey.
Welcome back.
Hi, I'm Connor. I'm back with the key after a week of missing. Hello, I'm excited to be back. Devastated that I missed the chapters I did.
I'm so sorry. Your summer vacations are over.
Yes, they are.
Hello, everyone. I am Common, an editor for Studio Reverie, as well as your Melee and live for today.
I'm Kyles. I own this place. I do a lot of things, but today I am Amelia, Shaula, and I am covering for Echidna and Beko.
Wolf. Hello, everyone. Wolf here. I'm used to having two more buffers before I say hello, so my brain was confused. I am your Subaru today and forever. And I'm very excited for today's chapters. Whoa.
Wah! I'm sorry for growling at you. It's been a thing I've been doing lately. Instead of yelling at people,
scary.
I just like to growl.
What?
It's been a fun way to get out my anger.
So you turned to Batman?
I'm Batman. Yeah,
Oh, no.
it's quite nice.
Oh, this is pretty fucked. What are you gonna do now? Fight crime?
Well, I'm trying to not commit crime. By growling.
Well, I said fight crime. Well, I
Oh,
said fight
fight.
crime. I don't know
Oh.
why your brain interpreted commit crime, but
Sorry. My brain waves
maybe
somewhere
this
else.
says more about the speaker than.
Just a bit of felony.
Just a bit. How much is just a bit?
Enough to get
Grand
away with it.
larceny?
No. Tax evasion. I'm kidding. Never avoid
Ah,
taxes.
okay, yeah.
I don't get paid
Well,
enough to pay
it
taxes.
depends on what country you're in. If you do it and you got the IRS, well, oh boy.
I'm glad I don't.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, new voice
If
for
I don't
Kyle's.
pay taxes, I get mauled to death.
Yeah, that shit's scary. American tax system just seems not it. I'm okay with the Canadian one. Well, actually I'm not, but it's okay. That's for another day.
I'm fine with the taxes, actually. No.
No, actually, I'm not.
no.
I have quite a bit of beef with them after this year.
Yeah.
That laugh told a story.
Without further ado, should we get into the chapter before I spiral out of control?
Yes.
We could wait like a minute. I only just
Oh.
put up our community announcement for us. We seem to have forgotten that
Thank
today.
you. See, this is why I need people to help me, because I forget a lot of things. Maddie's going to be in my DMs any moment. Let me go send him what he needs. Maddie doesn't even talk to me anymore. He's just like, thumbnail? Thumbnail? Where's the thumbnail? Thumbnail.
Thumbnail now. Thumbnail now.
He's
Where'd that
treating
thumbnail
it like
at?
the way that people treat work tickets at my actual job. Where it's, hey, is this done yet? Can I get this, please? Please?
Please.
Hey, can I get a...
Could I go
Tagging
to
this to remind
Burger?
you.
There we go.
Very corporate and polite way of saying, hurry the fuck up!
Pretty much, yeah.
Hello, everyone, by the way. It's good to see you all today. Hello, Unknown. Hello, Lurk. Max, Mickey, J. Dudley, Wispa, Marcos. Good morning. Good afternoon, wherever you are. If you're common, it's like probably, what, 3 in the morning?
2:30 in the morning.
Oh, my
Fuck.
God. I'm thankful to you, and also I wonder why you do this for us all the time. But I'm so grateful that you do.
I love being here.
I know you
That's
genuinely
very
meant it. It sounded
way.
like you didn't, though, which was funny.
like agony.
This is not an obligation interrupting our Saturdays at all. Absolutely not. We love doing it every week.
Fuck, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. God,
What are you apologizing for?
I'm
Common
making
said
you-
she loves it here, and I said this isn't a problem.
In the most
She's not
deadpan
being held down
way.
and reinforced, like, against her will. It's not against her will or anything. We're all here, we're having a great time.
I
I have
Fluffy.
total I have total control over my vocal cords. Yes.
Yes.
It's not like we have, partial
Mhm.
ownership scenarios. It's sort of just,
I don't chain
Have
you
you
up
ever
to a
really
wall.
felt like you don't
Contracts
really
these days are
own
rough.
yourself? I mean, I'm not even chained to the wall. It's just I'm
giving
stuck
you-
in a basement.
You have places to roam. You can roam around. Enjoy.
In the basement.
Yes. It's a spacious basement.
Like 10 square meters of floor.
I think more than
I
that.
think you mean sweet, sweet floor.
Pat was quite comfy
Yeah,
down here.
Ooh, I love this sweet, sweet floor.
It is comfy, though. I do sleep on it often.
This says a lot more about you than it does about me.
I enjoy sleeping on the floor. What of it? Fuck, I let you out of
I
the
don't
crate at
know.
least twice today. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, at least.
At least!
Depending on what your view of the crate is, I've never let out of the crate sometimes.
He's always
The
If
crate
we're
being the
good.
basement, metaphorically.
If we're good, Kyles will bring in a bed of grass for us.
Sometimes.
Connor's the one
sometimes
that
he gives
has
us a
you locked
sandwich.
up. Thanks, Ethan.
Yeah,
we
but it's
appreciate
Oh,
it.
like-
thank you, Ethan.
Thank you for
Not to worry. After Arc 6, we will go back to non-spoiler stuff for a bit while we plow through Arc 7 behind the scenes.
Yes, I got some of our Arc 7 cast hyped for it. So,
Very good.
how many chapters do we have left? What are we thinking?
We're
78.
on 76 or 77. I think it goes up until 90.
So we have 13.
90 flat.
So let's see. Wednesday will be
Yes.
9, 80, 81, 82.
But we may need one extra break in
Yeah.
between, like one delayed stream, so we have enough time to fix the final chapters.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
Because they were notoriously not done by Witch Cult's team, I believe.
with
So
the week added, that should lead us to our final stream being Wednesday the 24th. But
of
of September. If
Oh, nice.
we're able to get some time, I can start working on it. It could be our finale Saturday the 20th, depending what we feel. Of September, specifically. Oh, wait, the delay will probably be Saturday the 13th of September. Because that's Wolf's birthday. That'll be our day off.
Yep,
Well, if you
that'll be
didn't-
That
perfect.
lines up.
If you didn't know, audience at home, that's my birthday.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry we're
I
doxing
gotta
Wolf here a
stop
bit
doxing
today.
everybody. Just don't tell me anything about yourself, or else it's going out
Yeah.
over there.
I mean,
Hey, if you
how,
try to dox
dude,
me, the
it's
CIA is going to show up at
crazy.
your house just to let anyone
I
know.
don't want that.
I am being absolutely, genuinely serious.
know.
Don't try it.
I don't want that. That literally terrifies me. I don't even want to
Yeah,
visit
for
you.
everyone
That
at home,
terrifies me.
I'm sorry we spoiled that Wolf has a birthday. I know,
Sorry.
sometimes
Yeah,
you
sorry.
might not think so.
What?
Some
He
people
He's
was
not an
seem to-
ageless
born.
voice.
Yeah, he was born at some point.
Some people seem to think
It
that we
just so
British are born
happened.
like other humans, but unfortunately that's not the case.
You just grow out of the ground? Like a potato?
Eggs, maybe?
Oh, eggs.
No, it's more like how they make orcs in The Lord of the Rings.
Fuck. Why do yourself like that? That's awful.
We've bred goblins with wild men, born from the mud of the earth, and foul rituals writ by the hand of Makor.
Pretty much.
Enjoy catching up, Oliver.
All of that for one British man.
The Lord of the Rings is what I imagine Britain to be like anyway.
Fuck.
It's kind of like that. Not really. They don't have a lot of trees.
No, it's much more. Have you got any change, mate?
I'm taking the piss, babes.
I'll stab
Are you
you.
taking
Give
the
me your
piss out of
change.
it? Oh yeah, that too. You're getting shaved in a back alley.
It's a cultural exchange at that point. Okay.
The best pastime.
Okay, we're
Like
getting-
I'm
getting too
more surprised
distracted.
that.
Too distracted.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
We got enough time. I watched our audience size double those extra few minutes of Vance. So.
Oh my god, you're like bread. It's like doubling in size.
Oh my god.
Also, I
Start
guess
the
while we're on the
chapter.
topic, don't forget to like and comment on the stream, follow the channel, everything else.
Like,
So if we
comments,
forget community,
smash the bell
then-
icon.
yes, so you won't miss it if we miss the community tag again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not on you. You have 1,000 other things to do. I can handle that. That's not the end of the world.
Good, it's your new job. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Especially because we found out like at community wasn't working for everyone now.
Yeah,
Big
let's
thanks to
make an
Skura for that.
announcement. Want to take that over before we get started real quick?
Oh, I mean, I tagged community when we found it out, so they already anyone with that issue should have been seen.
Okay,
I've
TLDR.
come to make an announcement.
If you're not a Discord savvy person, you have to make sure you on your settings you click like see all channels. If you're in our server and you're missing stuff. Yeah. All right. I'll stop delaying us. Let's go.
I need to make sure this is on my right monitor.
Well.
Stand up.
There we go. Okay. Arc 6, Chapter 77, Beacon of Counterattack. Abiding by his warm emotions and dashing with the entirety of his might, he stepped foot into that place. Opposite to his heart, sending out hot-blooded pulses within the depths of his chest, the outside air had become chilly enough to whiten his exhales, and within this glaciated world, he discovered the back he was looking for. His gaze plunged towards the slim, supple back, and his heart involuntarily came close to bursting. Though affection lightened his chest, he narrowly managed to escape his impulses. This was no time for him to let his heart explode and die. Clenching his molars, he looked at the face of the enemy opposing on the other side of the struggling back. Long hair of a dark brown hue, in a crude outfit, as though being wreathed in rags. What was the most impressive, outstanding of all, was the revolting glint in the eyes that trampled upon the lives of others, and had turned them into literal bits of food.
Lie, Batakaitos!
Roaring at the absolute top of his voice, he asserted his existence and attracted the attention of the opponent. Even gaining his attention for a singular moment alone was beneficial. Of course, there lay the possibility of his side sustaining equal blows, but it was nothing if it meant reducing the damage being inflicted upon her. With affection filling his heart as fuel, he could even fly in the sky right now.
If that could increase our chances of winning, even slightly.
Halting his feet before the frozen floor, he poured strength into his abdomen and glared at Lai. He maintained a watch at his movements with all of his strength, and no matter what move he should make, such preparedness of Subaru's was robbed and shattered by the amethyst eyes that suddenly turned around. His black eyes and her amethyst ones intermingled with each other. The wave of emotions that appeared in her eyes in that instant was enormous, almost washing him away. Her eyes had always gripped his heart and sought to drown it within themselves. Because he wished to somehow save the entirety of the multiple emotions levitating in her eyes. Thus,
It's dangerous, so wait! You may not know about me, but he's the enemy. Leave this place to me, even though you may not know about me.
his eyes twinkled upon seeing her call for vigilance while swaying her hands in panic. Delayed by a beat, he gulped down the meaning behind her words. Within him, certainly present, were memories of being told this very same thing. At the same time, he understood the events that had transpired. And he truly thought that he was glad to have been the first one to reach this place. He knew what he ought to say, how he ought to call out to her. Furthermore, the thought of how he wanted to call out to her arose.
It's all right, Amelia Tunn.
Sorry for causing problems for you, for making you worry, for making you wait. Wielding those sentiments, though unbefitting for this place, he nodded whilst loosening his lips. And while looking at the young girl whose eyes grasped comprehension with the few words he said, he resumed. With a finger of his right hand pointing out towards the heavens, he posed with one hand on his waist. Though there was no need for him to be doing this, doing it enabled him to solidify his resolve. So for that purpose,
My name is Natsuki Subaru, Amelia Tunn's one and only knight.
Subaru?
the instant he declared so with a determined, smiling expression, the silver-haired young girl, Amelia, dashed towards Subaru with fearsome velocity. Colliding, Subaru was thrown back, but he somehow supported Amelia's frame. No need for concern. She was light as an angel's feather. No problem at all. If there was something to be labeled as a problem,
Amelia Tunn! This is so sudden! I'm freaking surprised! And also, you're super light and smell so nice! Ooh, did you change your shampoo?
Stupid! Jeez, you're really stupid! I was so worried! You're just like that! Stupid!
Wow, you're really calling me stupid an astounding number of times! Well, I can't make any excuses.
Subaru was overwhelmed as Amelia pressed him with widened eyes within his arms. Since he was meanwhile also glued together with Amelia, Subaru's heart was a total mess, and even his vocabulary crumbled. Putting all that aside, Subaru reluctantly parted with Amelia, grasping her slender shoulders and distancing her from his body.
I'm sorry for making you worry, but I've returned. I've been revived, restored. Should I say, I've become the complete Natsuki Subaru. Either way, it's all right. So, I'll leave all of Natsuki Subaru in the past. This is Natsuki Subaru's explosive birth.
Energetically talking on and on, he's forcefully attempted Amelia to gain some relief. However, in the midst of this plan of Subaru's, Amelia blinked and laid a single finger on his chest. A ticklish, gentle sensation. Subaru's whole body involuntarily shivered.
Did you become whole and full? Because even the Subaru who didn't have memories was Subaru. So, even if Subaru remembers everything now, that Subaru who worked his hardest and put his life on the line, even for the short while, he was here. And he was...
Yeah. It's alright.
Whilst touching his chest, Amelia affirmed Subaru's footsteps with faltering words. There existed a Natsuki Subaru who, due to the unification of memories, could be interpreted as having become one or even having disappeared, and a time wherein their hearts were touched by him also existed within them. Yeah, it's simple.
The fact that I was within myself, and within Amelia Tan, certainly remains even now. So, it's really alright, Amelia Tan?
Mm-hmm.
So, please expect great things here onward for perfect Natsuki Subaru. With all the frustration piled up in this time of turmoil as the trigger, let's go towards a bright future!
Sorry. I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Amelia shook her head and responded as Subaru smiled with a thumb of his raised up. This indifferent attitude of hers was also so lovable, and something he eagerly looked forward to. Subaru would prefer to spend countless minutes, countless hours, countless days just messing around with Amelia like this. But
About time, you know. Had enough of your emotional meeting.
saying so, raising his voice and calling out to the timidly touching Subaru and Amelia, was the Sin Archbishop of Gluttony, with a devious, malicious, vicious smile. But Subaru raised his eyebrows in response to the fact that he did not launch an attack in this interval.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd wait so conscientiously. Did you become contrite?
Become contrite, you say? That would be outrageous. It's just that, you know, we are gourmet, you see. From Onisan's perspective, that'd be what you'd call gourmet. As one who knows the delight of meals, wanting to be properly attentive to the setting of the table is what it is about. If the shotaku is untidily, then it's a killjoy, isn't that right?
Speaking of table manners difficult to apply practically, Lai laughed with a shrill voice in a strange and frivolous manner. Whilst listening to that ear-hurting voice of his laughter, Subaru gave a deep nod.
I see. Makes sense. I completely thought
Completely thought!
that you'd become all afraid, considering how ugly of a shape your little sister was left in.
The next instant, Lai's expression completely changed from that of having a smile of leisure. His smile disappeared in an instant. What appeared instead was scorching rage. Abiding by that intense fury, Lai's body kicked the frozen aisle and plunged ahead in the blink of an eye.
What do you know about our Louie?
I know nothing. I just arbitrarily had my body invaded by her. I have no idea what she was thinking, nor do I want to know.
Seemingly truly possessing sentiments and love for his younger sister, the enraged Lai's dagger inched closer towards Subaru. However, Subaru did not fear the approaching footsteps of death. Controlled by violent emotion, if Lai was not viewing anything but Subaru, then that was precisely what he was aiming for.
I'm also here. Don't forget.
Accompanied by a brave voice, Amelia's beautiful long legs drew an arc. Energetically rotating them in a great angle, she intercepted Lai's face as he plunged straight ahead. The instant it hit directly, Amelia's ice battle technique, Ice Brand Arts, was activated, reinforcing her toes, which were striking the enemy, with boots of ice as a bonus.
Yeah!
Pouring strength into her fair leg, Amelia swung the leg which had struck the enemy's frontal teeth with all of her might. Despite somehow defending against direct damage, Lai's petite stature was unable to withstand that force and was blown away, sliding on the frozen floor and landing deep down the aisle. Amelia subsequently pointed her palm in that direction, and the generated stumps of ice mercilessly pursued Louis's elder brother, having collapsed. Icicle dust then engulfed the aisle, seemingly succeeding in inflicting enormous damage onto Gluttony.
That did it! This was a mixed attack of my cheers and Amelia Tan's adorable intent to kill!
Is that supposed to be a compliment?
It's a compliment indeed! The best! So cute! I want to marry you!
Jeez, no messing around.
With her cheeks slightly red, Amelia's reaction as she fixedly looked towards him was unexpected. He thought her refute would be more powerful, so the embarrassment rebounded onto Subaru as well.
No, I am acting way too merry since having met with Amelia Ton. All messing around about comes after the problems have been solved.
Subaru, I don't know when another attack will come, so don't let your guard down.
I know! Though I'd openly welcome it if this makes it for his defeat.
Straightening out their minds at once, Subaru and Amelia turned towards breaking the deadlock of the situation. Amelia concentrated on Liebot and Kaidos before her eyes, while Subaru concentrated on the problems encircling Pleiades' watchtower. The 5 obstacles. Even after Natsuki Subaru's identity problem had been solved, they still remained and exposed the watchtower and all of Subaru's comrades within it to hazard. But some conditions had changed. For example, the menace of the shadow that descended as though symbolizing a time limit, swallowing the entire tower and bringing ruin to everything. If that's
the Keibatsu, much like I've imagined it till now.
The event of the shadow swallowing everything was the reappearance of the calamity he had formerly encountered in the sanctuary as well. The story behind why that happened was because he had spoken to Echidna within the tomb and had unburdened himself by telling her everything about return by death. If the happenings occurring in the tower were also of the same kind, then that shadow would reset everything in cases when return by death had been leaked outside, for the most part. In other words, it was surely because Louis Arneb had been within Subaru. Now that Louis Arneb had been eliminated and her existence had disappeared from Subaru's interior, there was something like a 50% chance that the shadow would swallow the Pleiades watchtower. Hence, he did not possess the option to rely on that and let the circumstances proceed slowly.
Immediaton! I have a plan!
Huh? Got it! Then let's follow it.
I haven't said anything yet, though!
Subaru arranged the options in his mind and accordingly called out to her, and the next instant came Amelia's ready consent flying towards him without him having said a single word of explanation. Subaru was surprised as Amelia said, "It's fine," in response.
Subaru's plan must be one he came up with after thinking as much as he can. I can trust it far more than having to think about a lot of things and coming up with an answer here.
Damn it! Makes me so happy you'd say that!
Scratching his head, Subaru powerfully stomped the floor as though in response to the faith that made him feel uneasy. Afterwards, Subaru pointed towards the interior of the aisle, to the space filled with icicle dust.
For now, Immediaton! Give him another shot!
Aye, aye!
With an explosive, dynamic sound, Amelia dropped a flow of ice onto the interior of the aisle. It would be great if this merciless strike made for the finishing blow for Lai, but that would be a dim prospect. In reality, Amelia spilled out a note saying, "Ah!" She widened her eyes upon the impact.
Subaru! The Sin Archbishop from earlier!
He's a tenacious bastard, but there's probably no way he's taken no damage.
When Amelia turned backward, Subaru understood from her expression that Lai had erased his form from the course of impact. He had become fed up with that tenaciousness, on the same level as that of a cockroach. What is uncharacteristic of judging the situation to be unfavorable and remove himself accordingly was different from Petalgus of abrogated diligence and tactless frankness, or Regulus, who did not possess the word humility in his dictionary. Amongst the Sin Archbishops, Liebot and Kaidos had the greatest survival instinct. However, it was inconceivable that he would withdraw from the tower.
Immediaton! For now, we meet up with everyone else. We need to reorganize how our people are being deployed. Everyone needs to do their best of this situation, or it won't be broken through.
Right. But is it okay if we let him escape like that?
I'll be honest, I would have preferred if the one from earlier had finished him off, but...
Having retreated once, Lai would surely make the best use of his time to catch up on his breath as well. In that case, it would be difficult to calculate the necessary time and certainty for striking Lai. Then they may as well prioritize their course of action in this situation, and leave his life in his hands.
No need to worry. He won't leave the tower or anything, as he's been stimulated a lot because of Louis. Because of his little sister. The misunderstanding Siscon bastard won't back down.
Siscon?
It means he's affectionate to his younger sister, though in his case, It being affectionate to little sister is in a negative sense.
At the very least, it did not seem as though Louis held deep love for Lai or Roy, her true older brothers, on her end. To devote themselves for the sake of Louis without even knowing that, they were either pitiable victims or just role-playing maniacs intoxicated with their duty. However, ironically, only the unbending, distorted ways of the Synarchbishop could be relied on.
Someone who can adapt to circumstances and flexibly change methods to deal with something wouldn't become something like a Synarchbishop in the first place.
That was Subaru's appraisal of the Synarchbishops, having unwillingly repeatedly come in contact with them. Hence, it had not been easy to track down the dirtily living Lai Bot Kaidos. Meanwhile, situations Subaru could not interfere with continued to head towards ruin. Before that happens...
Amelia-tan! We go where everyone is!
Got it. I don't know where everyone is.
It's my duty to Suba-Navi them!
The Natsuki Subaru navigation system, Suba-Navi for short, as in Corleones, was activated by him. Queer, deep emotions came to his mind upon the activation of the authority wherein coexisted familiar and unfamiliar sensations. Concentrating the whereabouts of his beating heart, he magnified everything within the close range of his radar, with his beating heart at the center. It was close to sonar, which grasped the surroundings based on the reverberation of sounds. But what he could feel was his comrades' warmth in fleeting lights. Thus, it was more of a limited sensation. However, that which specialized solely in feeling the existence of his comrades, rather than being an omnipotent might, was presently the authority that held the most worth for Subaru. Figuring the location of those fleeting lights, Subaru lifted his face. Just as he had first hurriedly met up with Amelia, next, they would prioritize meeting up with the members she had earlier enabled to run away. In other words...
First, we retrieve my cute Aikata!
Through these sensations being conveyed from Corleones, Subaru grasped the majority of the happenings occurring in Pleiades' watchtower. What he understood through the effect of the authority was, at maximum, the individual respective conditions of his comrades and a vague sense of distance with Subaru at the center. His comrades' field of vision could be shared, but he could not grasp their state with clarity. But still, should they sustain an injury, he could substitute for it, and should they be burdened with recoil, he could take over that as well. That was the effect of Subaru's authority of greed, and various usages could be used for it.
Subaru, are you okay? You look pale.
Yeah, I'm good. Well, I'm acting strong a bit, but I'm still alright. I can still work hard at this level.
As they dashed through the aisles side by side, Amelia worried for Subaru whilst he let out a heavy sigh. Her voice, like a silver bell, and her amethyst eyes tickled his heart, and Subaru revealed his honest thoughts. It was agonizing, but he could still endure it. Those were his true thoughts. As pointed out by Amelia, Subaru's paleness was also, of course, due to the bedlam that had unfolded with Louis in order to recover his memories. Mental abrasion was quite difficult to heal, and it was not an easy task to make a worn-down heart stand up again. But what was presently making Subaru suffer was a much more simple, clear cause. Rom's inferior physical form, because he had been primarily taking up the anguish she had always been experiencing on a normal basis.
Taking up her wounds without permission. Rom is sure not going to be happy.
It would never sit well with Rom, who had actually possessed a strong sense of responsibility, to let others substitute for her own recoil. Should he propose it to her face with, "I want to shoulder your pain together with you," she would simply laugh it off with a snort, and in the end stuff steamed potatoes up his nose. So, he would shoulder Rom's inferior physical form out of his own will. He would not let her refuse. And that is why.
Subaru!
By the shattered angle of the aisle, as she saw clearly ahead, Amelia called Subaru. The meaning behind her call was known by him, whose lion's heart was beating. The comrades that had escaped from the battlefield and taken distance while Amelia occupied lie. A jet black ground dragon and a blue-haired young girl on its back. Holding its reins was her elder sister, possessing a face so identical they were like two peas in a pod. And standing beside her was a little girl in a dress.
Go!
Beatrice! Subaru and God knows who girls are here. In fact,
Beatrice turned to look at Subaru and Amelia, who were energetically dashing towards them. Paying no heed to her astonishment, Subaru and Amelia reached her at almost the exact same time. At the same pace, he hugged her and picked up the young girl as she shouted, "Why?"
Oh, Bayako! Bayako, you're so light! You're so cute! You've got such an intelligent look!
look, Beatrice! Subaru remembered everything. Wait, you still don't know who I am. Isn't that right? But Subaru remembered. That really made me happy. Well, wait, I suppose. Wait, in fact. It's like both a known occasion and an unknown occasion have arrived. So Betty's mind is all topsy-turvy, I suppose.
Whilst being swung around, Beatrice was mutually knocked down by Subaru and Amelia's words, as she darted her eyes about in confusion. However, she immediately pointed her palm forward, making Amelia shut up, and said,
Subaru,
Yeah?
do you truly remember everything, in fact? About Betty? About the time you spent with Betty as well? Everything?
Yeah, that's right. Don't make such an anxious expression. I remember everything. And if anything, can just make up a lot of the stuff too. The history of everything that happened and it didn't happen between you and me.
No need to make up what didn't happen, I suppose. Jeez.
Raised in his arms, Beatrice sandwiched Subaru's face between her hands. Looking at the silent Subaru from an inch's worth of distance, Beatrice let out a deep sigh. Her eyes, with a peculiar pattern on them, subsequently quivered.
Truly, all Subaru does is swing Betty around, in fact.
The contract's condition was that I'd be a contractor who'd never let you get bored, after all. And you said that I'm no Superman. Looking at it objectively, I'm pretty Supermanly, am I not?
Closing an eye, Subaru winked and smiled at Beatrice. For an instant, she widened her eyes at his response, but then immediately pouted.
Don't get carried away, I suppose.
Let me get carried away. I'm the type who gets things done when I'm carried away. Along with that,
Glancing sideways, he noticed Rom standing there with a dazed expression. She narrowed her light crimson eyes and looked at Subaru with a stabbing gaze.
nay, Summer?
That was quite the fast snowmelt, wasn't it? Ultimately, a pointless fuss befitting Barasu.
Well, in essence, I guess it did only last for a day.
Subaru could not do anything but smile wryly, upon it all being labeled as a pointless fuss. In reality, Subaru had experienced close to 20 deaths. Upon thinking of the mental recoil he had received and accepting them all as his own, it would be impossible to think that every happening had passed in a single day. From Subaru's perspective, it felt as if the amnesia had lasted for multiple years.
But I've come to terms with everything, and made it back. The man who gives 150% of his strength for everyone. Natsuki Subaru. Pleased to be in your company.
Oh, nice. Say whatever you like. However, Rom's exceedingly benevolent self shall overlook it.
Overlook it? Bangladesh?
Rom spoke deeply meaningful words and subsequently paused, and just as he had tilted his head upon her words, he, together with Beatrice, was blown away by a tail whip that targeted his blind spot coming from the ground dragon. As Subaru and Beatrice twirled around, they were caught by a soft sensation. Upon looking, it had been Amelia who had halted their spinning. She softly supported Subaru's body from his back's side, and smiled with a,
It looks like Patrash-chan is also really happy that Subaru came back.
Ahead of Amelia's line of sight stood a jet black, majestic figure, exhaling from its nose. Having gotten a taste of one of its powerful tail strikes, Subaru readjusted Beatrice, whom he had been carrying in his arms, and said,
You've always been such a tsundere. No, my bad. I made you worry a lot too. In the first place.
Receiving Amelia's support, Subaru fixed his stance and faced Patrice, who was looking at him with a sharp glint in its eyes. And thinking back to the unchanging devotion of the affectionate dragon during the time he was devoid of memories.
Really, you saved me so many times. I love you. So, you're not going to slap me away like usual, right?
Every time he made a flimsy confession of love to her, it was a standard that Patrice's ladylike self would discipline him. But that was not the case with this time's confession of his. Otherwise,
Even this ground dragon can tell when you're joking and when you're being serious. That's what that means, I suppose.
Yeah.
nobody knew when she had gotten so close to it, but Beatrice spoke to Patrice's true heart. The fact that she did not get struck by another tail whip means that her interpretation was correct. Now, if Beatrice were to also learn the ability of deciphering and translating, then Otto could finally be dismissed of his duty.
Rem.
On Patrice's back was Rem, her body leaning on the saddle. Of course, it would not be possible to hear her entirely asleep self's voice of delight upon the return of Subaru's memories. However, the emotion that arose within Subaru's heart upon looking at Rem's side profile was different. What if, in that white world, persuaded by Louis Arneb's cajolery, in the instant he was truly going to fall into Gluttony's poisoned fangs, had the voice which had kicked the hopeless weakling up not been present? The existence known as her, truly, would not let Natsuki Subaru loose, even should he forget himself. That was why, once again, after overcoming a total of 40 deaths, he ended up coming back.
I'll save getting lost in thoughts for later. Anyway, my memories are back. I appreciate all of you wanting to celebrate it, but let's clean up the situation at once.
Celebrate, you say? Truly, what an overestimation you give yourself. I wonder what happened in this short duration. Besides...
Me?
Snorting her nose upon Subaru's lowered tone, Rom then turned her gaze towards Amelia. Levitating in her eyes was usual arrogance, but an equal sense of unease. It had already been clear from Beatrice's reaction, but indeed...
I'm Amelia. You don't remember. I guess. Yeah.
The person who let Rom and the others escape earlier. That is known. But that is all. Nothing further can be remembered. How did things stand for you, Beatrice-sama?
Same for Betty, in fact. The effect of the authority of gluttony is what it is, I suppose.
At Rom's assessment, Beatrice identically lowered her face. What had occurred to Julius's person in Pristella had descended upon Amelia's person within this tower as well, with this forming an omnipresent, excruciating wound.
Right. I am Amelia. Just Amelia. There's lots...
Fixed the biceps of her fair arms and stout-heartedly... No, she was not merely acting strong, but truly seeming to fear nothing from the bottom of her heart, and smiled. Not only Subaru, but Beatrice too came at a loss of words upon her exceedingly confident conduct. Unusually enough, even Rom widened her eyes, unable to suppress her astonishment.
Huh? Did I say something weird?
Well, rather than weird, it was super duper cool.
Scratching his cheeks, Subaru answered upon Amelia's slightly flustered reaction. Subsequent to Subaru's response, Rom said, "Indeed," and took a deep inhale. She steadily affirmed Amelia's conduct.
Amelia, was it? Enigmatically enough, upon looking at you, Rom feels the nooks of her mind become awfully uneasy. The same which happened upon Rem's instance.
That's...
Everything about you disappearing from the mind and being replaced by a void is difficult, is what it surely means. though it is difficult to consider that Rom had someone like that other than Rem.
Narrowing her eyes, Rom touched her head with a finger as though tracing Amelia's disappeared existence within herself. Her words made Subaru remember something out of place. Though Rom may say so, it was unmistakable for Subaru, who had been witness to the two's relationship from the sidelines. She cherished Amelia. Although with the vanishing of those spans of time, it was only natural that it would not come to Rom's mind. However,
The throbbing and aching of the mind Rom feels upon looking at you is the answer for the relationship between you and Rom. So rest assured, Rom dislikes remaining defeated.
Same goes for me. We're going to strike back. Absolutely no matter what.
Indeed. Let the payback be 100 million times greater.
That many times?
Subaru felt Amelia and Rom to be reliable as the two exchanged fearless smiles. After all, originally, once the name was plundered, the victim drowned in isolation as all relationships around them collapsed. However, Amelia did not give in against isolation and managed to retain the core of her heart. Thanks to that, the collapse supposed to commence from her would not destroy the foundation of Subaru as well as that of Rom and the others. And on top of that,
Barsu, kindly give suggestions. However, do not think that all the missteps so far can be salvaged just because your forgetful self managed to remember again.
I know without you having to point it out, but how many things do you plan to point it out?
but he was grateful that they were willing to be cooperative without having to be convinced. In any case, the dilemma laid within this Tower of the Sandseas was far too impending for accumulating trust, explaining the situation, and confronting each of the problems while tying bonds. So,
Let's obliterate this overeating festival those utmost worst three siblings started with the power of our bonds.
Yes! Naturally, in fact.
the three parties gave their respective answers directed towards three of Subaru's greatest enemies, as he gave a deep nod to the words from all of them, and said,
It's still all over the place, but it feels like I've come back home!
Saying so, he vocalized first and foremost a quiet, yet a valuable, indefinite, deep emotion.
Yay!
Woo!
He's back! Our boy is back!
He back.
I'm back.
Peek's back.
I was buying milk.
Welcome back.
Sorry, I kept stepping over my words there.
No, that's okay. There are a lot of goofy ass words in
I
that
had one line near the end there where I had a full fucking mental breakdown. So
Yeah.
It's good to have regular Subaru back. Oh my god, I've missed him so much.
Yeah. Ah, the amount of tweaking out the last one did was.
Yeah, it's nice to have a confident Subaru for a change.
it's nice to be able to be confident Subaru again. I can feel it in my inflections, man. It's so much better.
Which is good. It's also way easier to control your gain.
Yeah, you don't have to scream every 5 seconds.
Scream, whisper, scream, whisper. Now it's just like a mid-range, maybe a yell.
Occasional confident yell, yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to
Now
change
he's
him-
locked the fuck in.
Yeah, he's locked the fuck in, that's for sure. I tried to go for a more confident Amelia this time, but I think it came out too much like myself. So I might have to dial that back. But I'm going to try to readjust.
Confident Amelia. Wait, that's just me.
That's just me! Fuck! That's not acting! I mean, I guess it is
That's
acting. but
just reading.
That's not right!
Alas.
Alas. Peak chapter. We're about to hit even more
Peak
peak.
chapter.
Four
Yes.
corners is
Yeah.
like... This one's set up, if I'm not wrong. And then we're going...
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next, like, 5-6 chapters are, like, name chapter, name chapter, name chapter. Follow up with
Yup.
the Julius chapter. Follow up with this.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So... We're about to speed run it.
Oh, it is just such a it really speaks to Rom's character that she's able to recognize, I can tell I'm missing a lot of emotions here. We must have been really close, so I'm going to trust you.
Mhm.
Yeah. She's the goat.
She is the
Oh,
goat.
so she's not racist.
Yay! The Amelia camp's
She
not
looks
racist
at the half
confirmed.
devil and goes, "Oh, this is fine."
Yeah, you're fine.
Amelia's hair is covering her ears just in case. They can't be too sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Whisper makes a good
Silver-haired
point.
individual.
Yeah, who is this individual? Whisper makes a good point. How do you guys think people are going to perceive the royal candidates now that Amelia's forgotten?
That there's only four royal candidates.
Yeah.
Either that there's
That-
only 4, or that it's reassigned to someone, because otherwise, how the fuck would the camp work?
True.
Everything
So who
else that
knows?
we've seen
Ram
has-
royal candidate.
everything else that we've seen of someone getting erased has made it be that any evidence of their existence or that their absence is there is erased as well.
Yeah, true.
So it's like they didn't leave an empty bed. The bed was like
Mhm.
made and the room was re-prepared, or like the letter was made blank. It didn't just disappear in and of itself. So logically, it's probably that the dragon tablet right now says there's only supposed to be 4 people.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn.
It also means that Subaru looks like even more of just a random guy who just came in and saved the day when he killed the white whale.
Mhm.
Oh my god, and
Hey,
they
he's
did
a-
not beat up Julius is not remembered, so they don't remember his downfall. How nice.
Nope.
You guys, you can't be making fun of her. Who was he? Who was he stepping into? Oh God, who was that guy? That one guy. Like imagine someone trying to like talk about what they saw at the fucking hall like right now. It's like, yeah, that Subaru guy. He like the guy who was just at Priestella. He was the guy that stepped in and made a fool of himself at the royal the capital for the
Why?
wait, why did he?
Why was
Wait,
he? there?
how did he get made fun? He got beaten up, right? I think.
It just makes Julius look like such a dick.
This comes into play in Arc 7, so I'm putting a pin in it. The silence was violent.
Curious. Curious indeed.
Curious. Yeah.
Curious.
I mean,
Curious though.
It's just really funny to think about people being just voided out of existence, and then what happens with Subaru.
The
It's
issue,
just like,
the issue is too,
how do they
because
remember, bro?
Amelia is such a big existence in so many different people's existences. It means that the gap is so big, it's noticeable. So it kind of like
yeah.
crumbles at that effect a
Mhm.
little. Because then
It's
they would
okay,
start to
man.
question, why are we even at this tower? Like, what's happening? You know, like so many different small details get altered. You can tell something's wrong.
Hot.
Guys, I don't remember. why
Finally,
those
all
guys were
3 of the main
protesting.
heroines have been erased from history. Amelia, Rem, and Julius.
Fuck. Julius, no. Sorry,
All
Common.
of the main heroines.
What were you saying, Common?
Oh, I was just like, man, I wonder why all those guys were protesting. Don't remember.
What's
Oh,
Yeah,
going on?
outside the
yeah.
capital. It's
That's
like,
not-
Yeah,
you can't have the royal selection. The witch cult will attack. Why? They will.
They are going to. Wait, why did the witch cult just randomly attack the Mathers estate? Why did that happen?
Yeah, what's going on there? Subaru probably looks like a god now.
wait.
More than
Yeah,
he
there's
did
like
before.
literally nothing there to attack. And it's just like, wait, how'd you know? How'd you know that they were just gonna blow up the random village, bro?
Does that mean Subaru becomes a royal candidate if Amelia's gone?
No, because he's not a girl.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He
Is
could
that a
be.
specification?
Yes.
It is considered a
Yes,
priestess to the
yes.
dragon. So
Yeah.
for this time, it is.
Ah, got
But
you.
what if he was cross-dressing?
Bring back knots in me shorts!
Who?
From a side story. From a side story.
Yeah,
I
there's
don't
that
think
one
she used
side
the. Did she
story.
use the second name in that?
Yeah, I
didn't
think so. Yeah,
Oh,
she
yes.
did.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
She did. Don't worry, I didn't spoil Arc 7. I double-checked this beforehand.
Well, now you did.
Well,
Ah.
now you-
Who knows? Is
Well.
she in there? We don't know. I'm gonna go see myself out.
Arc 6, Chapter 78.
Let's
Chapter
go.
78.
I'm so shocked.
Let's go.
Are we ready? Chase is looking at me like I just disappointed him.
Disappointed father ass look.
I can't believe you did this after spoiling the Demon Slayer movie for me, Kyles.
I didn't mean to! I didn't mean to! It was an accident! Who the fuck posts an OST when it hasn't come out? Well, okay, well, it did come out. But just not in English. How was I supposed to know? It's a really good OST. It's a spoiler, though. Sorry. I don't watch Demon Slayer. Clearly. I just sought pretty music. And
For
then I
context,
spoiled
she
Connor.
linked me a video that was named X character's death scene, background OST.
That's crazy.
I didn't know!
It says death scene in the name.
You can blame
Yeah.
Rue's piano and the piano cover person. King of Piano, I think. I just thought it was pretty. I thought we could use it. We're not going to
It was
use
good.
it anymore.
It was good music.
Yeah, it was. It's great. Didn't know. Sorry. I've been bad with spoilers lately. Just see, you can't tell me anything or I'll dox you. And I can't read ahead or I'll spoil you. Do you
Then what
imagine
do
if
you
I
got
knew-
for?
Well,
I just won't talk after I read Arc 9.
I sure hope we don't get to Arc 9 then, because that's going to be a whole lot.
IRL Amelia is wild, Lurk.
Shut up! Fuck off! Somebody was commenting on the Arc 7 stuff, and they're making some good points about Amelia. And then I was just like, you know what? As the person who voices Amelia, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should say that. Maybe I don't need those allegations.
In response to
She's
that,
a
just
dunderhead.
check out our videos on Arc 7. We address those concerns and beliefs and vehemently disagree with them.
Hi!
So it's in the earlier Arc 7 podcasts. I don't remember which one, though, so good luck going through 14 hours to find it.
Yeah, going through all of our feature-length movie podcast lengths.
I watched a part of it on double speed.
That's fair.
Yay. Yeah, Chris.
You ready to go, Al?
Yeah, please
Oh,
hurry,
yeah.
save me.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
move past her shame.
Shame! Bang! Shame!
Arc 6, Chapter 78. Four Corners.
Are you ready? The tower's in pretty bad shape right now. If I were to go out and say how bad it is, it's nearly as bad as playing Othello with all four of its corners taken away from you.
That must be pretty bad.
Ram's expression clouded over as Subaru launched into his explanation, holding one of his fingers up in the air. Quite the solemn look had appeared on the latter's face, albeit Ram was not the only one who was taking this seriously. Amelia and Beatrice, who were listening in as well, were like that too. Othello, more commonly referred to by the name Reverie, was a board game in which two players competed on an 8x8 board, making a total of 64 squares using black and white pieces. Naturally, this was knowledge Subaru had brought with him from his original world, but since it had been relatively easy to recreate the game here, he had reintroduced it to the Roswell mansion fairly early on. It brought a huge stir, with it being extremely well received, especially from Amelia. That was why he was able to properly convey the gravity of the current situation to them. Having all four corners taken in Othello meant that one was already completely lost. Furthermore, though she had not partaken in it much, Ram had literally been as strong as an Oni in the few occasions she had played, as one would expect from her. In any case...
Losing all four corners. An utterly outrageous situation, I suppose. That's going too far, even as a handicap, in fact. I'd guess even if I'd end up becoming as busy as a bee, and winning if I got a hold of so many of them.
Who even says busy as a bee these days?
Subaru, can you say that again?
I will, but later. Later.
Amelia snapped on to Subaru's traditional retort, looking somewhat dejected at having her request denied, although he felt Although he felt a bit guilty seeing her like that, the flirting would have to wait until later, just like he had said many times. The first priority was to find a way out of the situation that they were in, and for that,
The four corners. They're the two gluttonies inside the tower, as well as the swarm of witch beasts they've called along. Also, it pains me to say this, but our comrade... Oh yeah, I guess it's sort of debatable if I can call them that.
Huh?
Subaru had been about to mention the fourth corner, but for a split second he faltered on what to say next. Namely, because not even he had come up with an answer that would be both simple to understand and properly describe the woman who unintentionally stood in their way as the fourth corner. He was not so distant to her to call her an acquaintance. That, and their connection was not weak enough to be called bitter enemies either. But did they share enough of a destiny such that he would call her a companion? At the very least, he could perhaps leave it at them sort of like a clueless, having sort of like a at the very least, he could perhaps leave it at them having sort of like a clueless but very much unsanctioned teacher and student relationship. Still, how did Amelia and the rest of them view her? But as Subaru fell prey to his hesitation,
You said comrade, right? What's happened to Shaula? Huh? Subaru?
No, it's nothing. That's right, I do mean Shaula.
Subaru immediately acted like nothing was up and nodded back at Amelia. It hadn't been just her. Beatrice and Ram also hadn't seen anything wrong with how Amelia had recognized her. The way they'd perceived her had been the same as Amelia, regardless of whether they had the memories of the latter or not. In other words, it served as proof that they viewed Shaula as someone friendly to them.
Am I an idiot? No, I definitely am an idiot.
Stumbling over the obvious was a bad habit of Natsuki Subaru, yet he would reflect hard on things, leveraging them so he could give it his all, and this was one of his strengths. A compliment for each time he put himself down. Ideally, he would give himself 100 for each time he did. That much would do. Though the true ideal would be giving himself 10,000 compliments without putting himself down even once.
Anyways, about Shaula. Well, before that, do you remember the Kimari of the tower? The ones that must not be broken. They were explained before, right?
Sure. We cannot leave without completing the examinations. We cannot violate the rules of the examinations. We cannot disrespect the libraries. We cannot damage the tower. In Rom's belief, those were all the violations.
Yeah, precisely.
Subaru snapped his fingers at Ram after she had readily laid them out. Then he pointed down at his feet and swung his arm around, indicating the entire tower.
So, with those rules, the fourth corner shows up when one of them is broken. I don't know which one specifically, but one of them will. Then, after that...
She will bear her fangs at us, just like she said. How annoying.
Ram, assuming her typical pose with her arms crossed together, batted one of her eyes shut as she imagined the worst. Shaula's insane combat prowess was well known to Subaru, of course, considering he had gone through many loops where she had killed him. But other than him, the rest of them were also well aware of that after they had been showered by sniper fire from afar back in the Sand Sea.
That fat big girl is quite strong when she uses those things of hers, I suppose. Even if we're better off than before, we wouldn't do a thing. We couldn't do a thing due to being attacked from afar. It's not going to change the fact that things are going to get grim if she turns into our enemy, in fact.
With their arms folded, both Beatrice and Ram frowned, their brows wrinkling up. The fact that they were so quick on the uptick was a huge help, since he could cut down the time he spent explaining. From all those sullen faces, it was only Amelia that raised her hand. Her face, which was the cutest in the whole wide world, was still free of wrinkles.
But we'd be going up against Shaula, no? Can't we somehow persuade her by talking to her? Shaula is really attached to Subaru. So if he tried his hardest, maybe.
I'd love a peaceful resolution to this, but getting Shaula to the negotiating table seems like a tall order. In regards to her being attached to me, I guess nothing about that's changed in a broad sense.
Meaning she will primarily be targeting you, Barasu. The fact that she has got her targets narrowed down is going to be extremely useful.
It could be perceived as her targeting the weaker members in their camp, but regardless, Subaru agreed with Ram's thoughts. Rather than facing a situation in which the knowledge of who would be targeted by the enemies indiscriminately lurking in the tower was missing, it would be easier to come up with a plan of counterattack that involved having Subaru recklessly targeted, so putting the issues they were facing in a nutshell.
The four corners are the two gluttonies, their swarm of witch beasts, as well as Shaula, who will come and attack us, I suppose.
Though, 2 of those corners are already being dealt with. All thanks to Bayako taking command!
During the time Subaru had spent cowering in the library of Tegeta, the smart and adorable Beatrice had taken everyone with her in turn and got them busy dealing with the damage that had struck the tower. She had sent Meili to the balcony from where she could overlook the swarm of witch beasts. Then, as a part of that, she had also joined up with Ram and Amelia after they had taken Rem out of the green room. Unfortunately, though, they had encountered Lai en route, which had led to them falling into this situation where Amelia's name had been taken away from her.
It's okay. Subaru still remembers me, so I'm completely fine with it. Even though he often ends up forgetting about our promises, it still makes me really happy that he remembers me properly.
What's with stabbing me in the back all of a sudden?
It looks to me like it's just her usual, in fact. That girl seems to know you well, too, I suppose. Though not as well as I do.
No need to fight over me, my sweethearts.
Subaru gave a few nods as he stroked Beatrice's head, basking in their affection for him. Then, while still steeped in emotion, Ram called out to him with a "Barasu!"
You said that 2 of the corners are being dealt with, right? It is known that one of them is Meili holding back the swarm of witch beasts, but what about the other one?
Julius.
Subaru grabbed his chest in reply to Ram and turned his attention to the beating of his heart. The power of his Corleonis was still going strong. He was naturally taking Ram's burdens from her. Also, the whereabouts of his companions were being broadcast to him in real time. From those, there was a light that definitely seemed to correspond to Julius, and the place he was at was...
He's on the 2nd floor, locked in battle with the enemy.
The 2nd floor? You can't mean that.
Yeah, I do.
He nodded back at Amelia as she quickly turned pale before sneaking a furtive glance up at above. He could not see it firsthand since the ceiling was in the way, but he could most definitely feel the signs of the furious fight that was taking place beyond his gaze. Julius Juculius and Reed Estria's rematch had begun. In the end, it seemed like that settlement was unavoidable. After Subaru had fallen to his knees earlier, unable to pick himself back up, Beatrice had taken charge of their companions. The opponent Julius had ended up waging battle with had been Reed Estria, even under Beatrice's command. That naturally had been influenced by the fact Roy Alfred, or rather Reed, who had taken over the Sin Archbishop of Gluttony's body and attained freedom, actively sought its conclusion. Nevertheless, Subaru had gone through many deaths and crossed through many possibilities, whether he had wanted to or not, and that had made him understand something. As annoying as it was, fate existed. No matter what road one followed, the firm, unchangeable reality that lay there was called fate. The fluctuations of history were so unyielding to the point that it really made one believe things were predetermined. It was almost like the results had already been determined by fate, which, with all the branches converging there, that had been the outcome of all their wills coming together to try to achieve their respective goals. However, precisely because of that, they had become so closely entwined with each other that they had never come apart. Yet, could it not be said that as well that there meant that there was no hope ahead? Considering the conclusion between Julius Juculius and Reid Estria was inevitable, it could only mean that...
Reed should have assimilated with one of the gluttonies. His takeover should almost be done. Though we'll let Julius settle things with Reed, we're going to deal with the remaining 3.
Is that really going to be all right, Barasu?
What do you mean?
Subaru cocked his head earnestly in response to Ram's question, but upon seeing him react like that, she just muttered out a brief, "Never mind."
Rom already knows how Barasu goes about things. Looks like I am losing my edge as well. Guess we have no choice but to rely on Barasu's proposal.
I don't really fully get what you mean, but you do know I can tell you're making fun of me.
Huh? No, she was just complimenting you. Ram's saying she really relies on you, Subaru. Now I'm going to need to work hard.
Rom will be having a word with you later, Amelia.
Amelia replied back to the mortified Ram with a "Yes, sir!" a slightly heavy trill in her voice. Despite the situation they were in, Amelia was most likely glad and found it refreshing that Ram was not using honorifics to address her. Now that their master-servant connection was gone, the attitude she was showing Amelia was one of perhaps friends, or maybe like a little sister that was always quite a handful. Ram did not have the opportunity anymore to play out the part of the capable big sister now that her actual little sister did not require much to handle. Nevertheless, she seemed that way now, thanks to the bizarrely happy-go-lucky Amelia.
Anyways, that's it for what's going on in the tower. What we need to do next is sort out the best people for each place. This sorting business is where Natsuki Subaru really shines!
You truly are so humble.
Humble or not, it's still important work! This is what they mean when they talk about unsung heroes! This is something only I... That's right. This is something only I can do! This is my battle!
Hurry up and start sorting!
Slapped his face for spending too long on the preambles. Feeling the pain of the damage he had received, Subaru looked around at all three of their faces, as well as the ground dragons, and said, "Are you all ready?" From here on out, it would be an all-out war in its truest sense. It barely made any difference whether one was a human or a ground dragon in the first place. Beatrice was typically far more useful than Subaru himself. But if Super Subaru were added to the mix, their possibilities would explode tenfold and then double.
One for all for one. All for one for all. We can't win without having everyone on board. We can't have even one of us missing. We will start winning if we've got everyone. Because we
came to this tower to get back what was taken from us. We won't allow ourselves to lose to them.
Exactly!
Subaru gave Amelia a nod with a snap of his fingers before regaining his composure, and then...
So, first things first. Lybat and Kaitos' opponent shall be...
Barasu.
Huh?
They began to head to their posts after they finished their discussion. However, someone had grabbed him by the scruff of his neck and forced him to a halt before he could, though there had been not enough force in it to throttle him. There had probably been a reason why they had shown such consideration.
It's really not like you to care enough to not hurt me, Nisama.
It's not like Rom would bother using too much of my strength when looking at a fly trapped in the palm of my hand. This is the same as that. Though it's not like Rom would purposely put one there. That would be disgusting.
Don't just say it and then deny it!
Subaru shrugged his shoulders at Ram's ram-like phrasing. Standing in front of him, Ram softly clenched and unclenched the palm of her hand, checking its feel a few times. Her gestures carried faint traces of bewilderment in them. This was quite the rare sight for Subaru, so used he was in seeing Ram always acting aloof. It was quite a perk to witness her acting so perplexed and unsure of herself. It was only thanks to this that he could put up with the levels of exhaustion that were threatening to crush his entire body. Ram's body was constantly tormented by the burden of being hornless. Subaru would take over this burden when employing Corleones, which in turn gave her the extra strength that let her operate to her fullest. Corleones was one of their most essential tricks for beating this tower. Subaru had already given Ram a brief summary of what was happening to her, albeit setting aside the fine details. Simply put, Ram's burdens were flowing into him, making Ram's body feel a lot lighter in those respects. However, since it strained him terribly, he desired a speedy settlement of the situation they were in. That was it, more or less.
I think about it. Since it will be just you who is suffering, Barasu, Rom does not really care how long it will last.
But this is a joint effort between you and me, Naysummer. You must want to get this over with as soon as possible when you think about it like that. Right?
Yeah, it is repulsing.
Oh, don't you think using repulse is going a little too far?
Oh, well, throwing abuse at him was so typical of her. Subaru accepted that, all the while suppressing the urge to vomit. Ram stared at him, assuming her familiar pose with her arms folded in front of him.
Arsu, Rom will not be cutting any corners.
Naturally, the more Ram moved using the full capabilities of her body, the greater the burden he would need to take, acting as its counterbalance. Even so, if he wanted Ram to keep in this state, he'd need to be prepared to take on all that extra burden. Just her standing there, breathing, was plenty enough to make him groan, and that was just the pain she experienced in her typical daily life.
Naysummer is too kind.
That was how the still sleeping Rem would frequently assess her. He had not really understood it back then, but now he finally understood what she had meant. If he were to let himself preface it in typical Ram fashion, it would be something like, "That's how Ram goes about things."
Barasu?
It's nothing. Definitely don't take it easy, of course. I can tell whether you're in a serious mode or not by how much pain I'm in. Ah, what torture it is.
So, you're saying your plan is the kind where the better Rom feels, the more you will suffer?
Oh, I feel like I've just handed the switch to the nukes to the one person I shouldn't have.
Then again, if Subaru was to hand over the switch to the nukes to one of his compatriots, Ram would be the only one he would consider for it.
I know it'd be a good bet as well. If not for the fact I'd worry you'd probably slip and push it accidentally. You're the most reliable in the sense of who'd use it properly, Naysummer.
Sorry will get you nowhere. Listen, take good care of Amelia and Beatrice-sama. I care not what happens to you, Barasu, since Rom knows you'll always make a mess, whatever the case.
Yeah, I know. And about Rem.
The one who cares the most about Rem in this world is Rom.
Ram declared that as if she was stating a matter of course. Her crimson eyes narrowed as Subaru's breath was taken away by the sheer intensity of her words.
Let's just say that it is enough that you, in your own Barasu-like way, are the person who cares about her the second most in the world. Leaving it at that should not unsettle even a single hair on Rem's head.
Yeah. Or it'd make me want to die.
Ram turned her back on Subaru after they had exchanged their feelings. There were probably so many things that she had wanted to say, words that she wanted to leave him, but she quickly changed her attitude, putting an end to them there. That truly was how Ram went about things.
Kindly take care of yourself as much as possible, Barasu. Otherwise, if you die, you won't be able to see Rem again.
Yeah, I love you too.
Subaru likewise responded jokingly to Ram's facetious concerns. And so, Subaru watched her run off into the distance without saying nary a word, before then planting his feet firmly down onto the corridor and regrouping with Amelia and Beatrice, who were waiting for him.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Let's head out as well.
Yeah, let's do that. Will Ram be okay?
Yeah, most likely. She's Ram after all. So, she'll be fine. If I told her to do something really dumb, there'd be no way she wouldn't have said anything about it.
You've gone and put a lot of trust in Ram again, I suppose.
I trust you just as much. And on top of that, I love you way more! Don't pout!
Beatrice puffed out her cheeks as if she were saying, "I'm not pouting, in fact." Subaru took her outstretched hand and then looked over to Amelia, standing by his side. He wondered if she was worried about Ram going out on her own. However, her face in profile looked only slightly anxious.
Amelia-ton?
No, it's nothing. I just find that really reassuring.
Coincidence as it may be, I actually feel the same.
Amelia's words did not have any grounds to them whatsoever, but for Subaru, her words served as a great boost. Their expectations far surpassed their expectations far surpassed their anxieties. It was far more reassuring to have someone that you could entrust rather than having someone trusting in you. You could better face up against what lay ahead by believing rather than clinging, though it wasn't like they'd solved any of their problems yet.
It's only natural to believe in your companions. What's more, you can believe in yourselves relying on them as well. Now's the clearest our view's gotten ever since we came to this sandfilled tower.
That look of yours. It's Betty's favorite kind of Subaru, I suppose.
Beatrice looked at Subaru, who had encouragingly taken over things, and gave him an audacious smile. Then, at Beatrice's comment, Amelia brought her hand over to her lips with a heh, causing Beatrice to point out Amelia's reaction with a "What's up with that, in fact?" Amelia shook her head and then spoke up.
It doesn't look like you remember, Beatrice, but I was thinking the exact same thing as you.
A huge creature was caught by its hind legs and savagely swung around before being smashed against the walls and floor without relent. This creature on the receiving end of these monstrous, unfathomable blows let out a hideous wail. A cacophony grated through the air that sounded like the wails of countless babies. What was letting off these wretched cries was a repulsive, bizarre-looking witch beast, one which, in accordance with his own knowledge, Natsuki Subaru had called the Centaur. However, that girl who had been well acquainted with this kind of witch beast had once called it by a different name, the Hungry Horse King. The Hungry Horse King's massive body was hurled away, causing it to somersault through the balcony of the Tower of Sand. Having been knocked about by the impacts, the King of the Sand Sea instantly picked itself back up with flames spewing from its mane. Its human upper half brought forth two swords wreathed in flame. Using this completely un-witch beast-like dual-wielding sword art, the Horse King tried to fire off a scorching red blow at the being that had been piling attacks on at it. However, a white ray of light pierced the Hungry Horse King as it attempted to swing its swords of flame, its fiery mane billowing. The impact caused this massive creature to falter back a fair few steps. However, it withstood it. It had withstood it, and just like that, the Horse King stepped forward again, preparing to launch his counterattack. But the very next moment, the white ray of light exploded inside its body. The ray of white light turned into a plethora of white rays that shot out inside the inside of the Hungry Horse King in all directions. No matter how resilient the creature was, it could not escape death if all of its vital organs within were destroyed. The Hungry Horse King was no exception to this rule, as it brutally perished to the white rays of light. And the slaughter of the woman who had been behind its death, Shaula, did not cease there. Swinging her braided brown hair about, Shaula powerfully kicked off the floor and leaped across the balcony floor. With light coming from her outstretched hands, she grabbed a hold of two enemies that were obstructing her path, witch beasts with lizard scales over ape-like bodies. From there, the light coming from her hands welled forth. Had Subaru seen her blow, he probably would have dubbed it a pile bunker. The heads of the two monkeys she had grabbed by the face were obliterated by the white light she had shot, not even giving them a chance to fight back. She followed up by spinning around on the spot and using her long legs to knock down the monkeys bounding towards her. Her toes slammed into their faces, whacking them down onto the floor with their heads caved in. The stage where the battle between Shaula and the witch beast were taking place was the fourth floor of the Pleiades watchtower. Although the balcony along the outer wall was built hundreds of meters above the ground, there were quite a few witch beasts there that possessed wings or could easily climb the wall. She shot down the climbing ones, one by one, the balcony soon becoming a sea of blood. Even after carrying out so much carnage, Shaula was not the least bit out of breath. The total number of witch beasts that swarmed towards the Pleiades watchtower was so massive that it would be pointless to count them. However, the fact that the tower had not succumbed to their avalanche was in no doubt thanks to her overwhelming fighting strength. Even so, the precarious equilibrium that Shaula was keeping about was about to...
Shaula!
Ah!
A shrill voice called out her name, but she did not answer back. With her face contorted in pain, she grabbed a winged witch beast that was flying towards her and smashed it down towards her feet. She followed up by piercing it with a white ray of light, giving bloom to flowers of red in midair, successfully putting an end to its pursuit. However, the state Shaula was in did not change as she drove them away. She clutched at her own face and stamped her feet down onto the floor. Through the gap between Shaula's fingers, her eyes with their large pupils were beginning to split apart and pulse a brilliant red. Her compound eyes were making their appearance, meaning Shaula was transforming.
Someone broke a rule!
With her face covered by the palms of her hands, she met the approaching witch beasts in this destitute state. She fought off their attacks with her long legs, pulverizing their torsos with sharp back kicks.
This is bad. She's at a limit. Melee, how's it looking on your end?
It's exactly how it looks. I've got my hands full dealing with these flying children. If Naked on Nessan becomes unable to fight too, we'll definitely be running short on hands.
I guess so. This is looking fairly grim.
Gazing at Shaula's anguish was a girl with wavy light purple hair sporting a bleak look on her face, Anastasia, or rather Echidna, who was currently borrowing her body. Standing beside her was Amelia as well, her dark blue ponytail swaying about as she somehow kept the scales tipped in their favor by using her divine protection. The trio of Shaula, Echidna, and Amelia were the team resisting with all their might to keep the witch beasts from approaching the Pleiades watchtower. However, unlike Amelia with her divine protection of fiend manipulation, and Shaula with her predisposition for pure fear, However, unlike Amelia with her divine protection of fiend manipulation, and Shaula with her predisposition for pure firepower, Echidna's presence was pretty much worthless. She was reluctant to go back to Tegeta, but at the same time, she wanted to avoid retreating further into the tower, which was in a state of turbulence, where she would only end up being an unnecessary burden.
Calm down. Now is not the time for that.
She moved her slender fingers and focused her awareness at the yacht inside her, though, strictly speaking, at the yacht inside Anastasia's body. Anastasia's gate possessed a flaw in which she was unable to take in any mana. That was why she could only cast magic with her natural odd. In other words, it was tantamount to cutting Anastasia's lifespan. Therefore, it was a measure that not even Echidna wanted to take, other than when her life was truly in danger. But better to take action than just sit around waiting for death. At least, that was what the Anastasia she knew would think. Everyone had to use the cards they were dealt with, and thus victory was determined by the way one played their cards. The change afflicting Shaula was most likely due to something that was rooted in her core. Something that could definitely not be overwritten, existing as a kind of shackle on her. As an artificial spirit, Echidna understood that all too well, considering that she was in similar shoes. There was not anything anyone could do through force of will. If what she had said before was true, then the rules of the Pleiades Watchtower had been broken. She needed to act as the Watchtower's keeper to remedy that. The reason she was resisting so hard was because, in the depths of her heart, she did not want to harm them in actual fact. Or rather, she probably did not want to harm Natsuki Subaru.
It is ironic.
Thanks to her staying on as the keeper of this watchtower, she had been able to reunite with the one person she had wished to meet. Yet, because of her continued presence as its keeper, she could not go against her orders to harm him. Truly the sorrow of being a creation. In its truest sense, Echidna thought that probably only she and Beatrice, with her also being a creation, could comprehend the pain that she was in. That was why she... Echidna caught a glimpse of the silhouette of a person rushing out from the corridor that led from the balcony to the tower, letting out a vigorous yell. Her eyes would immediately widen in surprise, her breath being taken away from her. Subaru felt shocked the moment he had rushed out onto the balcony, witnessing the differences between what it had usually looked like and the present situation. He immediately realized that a fierce battle was taking place here. The balcony of the fourth floor had turned into a sea of blood, with countless witch beast cadavers scattered about. This best seat in the house, where one could enjoy an unbroken view of the sand sea, was now dyed in blood, thanks to the countless witch beasts ceaselessly charging at it. If left unchecked, they would get into the tower and mayhem would ensue, and the biggest contributor in preventing this damage from spreading was...
Shaula!
Master!
Shaula turned around at the sound of Subaru's yell. Her eyes were about to split apart and divide into her 6 compound eyes, 3 on the left, 3 on the right. He had already witnessed this transformation process of hers with his own eyes. It meant that the rules of the Pleiades Watchtower had been broken, and Shaula's time had come to take upon her duty as the Watchtower's keeper. This would culminate in Shaula transforming into the Titanic Scorpion against her will, where she would then set about annihilating the challengers inside the tower. In other words, Subaru and his group. That was why.
Master, please! Please don't hurt me! Someone broke the rules. At this rate, Master, I'll end up... If you can't, you know before I do that, I'll...
Shaula clutched her body tightly as she sought Subaru's orders with a look of desperation set on her face. Her capacity for self-suicide seemed to have been instinctively robbed from her. What she was beseeching for here was one final push to kill her. Shaula would throw her life away without any hesitation if Subaru were the one to say it. It could safely be said that the threat of the giant scorpion would be gone as long as he gave the command. Thus, Subaru nodded his head firmly.
Shaula.
Yes, if it's for you, Master, I'll...
I'm getting sick of telling you this, but I haven't got a clue why you're calling me Master.
The instant Subaru replied right back at her, Shaula's compound eyes became twitched and... Oh.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Sorry.
Ooh.
Sorry, I've been holding that in for a while. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Here we go. Sorry.
Common timestamp this to cut.
Okay, I'm better.
The instant Subaru replied right back at her, Shaula's compound eyes became tinged with despair. After 400 years of waiting in vain, she had finally been able to meet him again, but to have that denied by him, and after all that, even have her last wish trampled on, left her feeling as frightened as a child. Subaru took a deep breath and then let it out as he gazed on her with trepidation.
That's why we'll talk about whether I'm your master or not later, as well as if I'll admit to it. I'm not going to tell you to die. There's no way I'm going to let you keep crying. There's absolutely no way I'm going to let your 400 years end here.
He had spent quite some time scraping up the memories he had temporarily lost, so he knew all too well. The patience people had in this world was insane. 400 years they would spend waiting in earnest for someone. He really needed to drag out these people they wanted to meet, even if it meant grabbing them by the scruff of their necks.
I'll just do it myself! As if I'm going to willingly do what someone else tells me! Bring it on! Our inevitable fate!
Subaru raised his fist up above him while he firmly declared that, leaving Shaula speechless upon that sight. Yet, at the same time, the unbearable urge going on inside her seemed to be about to burst. But, at least in that precise moment for her, that which mattered were not the rules of the tower or the explosive urge to swell up from within.
Master, I love you.
Such it would seem were her emotions of uncontrollable love she held for the person she had longed for all these 400 years. Straight after she had proclaimed her love, Shaula's transformation began in earnest. Her pale, slender hands swelled up and morphed into giant pincers. Her feminine, voluptuous body burst open, scattering flesh and blood, which then formed back like a tape rewinding, remolding her body anew. A jet black shell grew there as her bright red compound eyes glared down at the world. Her many legs pierced into the floor, and so the warden of the her many legs pierced into the floor, and so the warden of the Tower of Sand was completed. Who's doing this noise?
I'm purposely avoiding it because I hate making that noise. Bishan! I'm so sorry.
The foreboding figure of the giant scorpion let out a shrill warning cry at the rule breakers who had violated the tower rules. The first thing its compound eyes settled on was, ironically enough, the black-haired young man that the previous version had obsessed over. It aimed at him, ready to unleash its devastating blow. Yet a thunderous flying kick drove into the giant scorpion's body from the side. The kick carried a tremendous amount of power, enough to lift the giant scorpion's huge body up from the floor and blow it back. It hurtled across the stone floor, collecting witch beasts on its way before flying off the edge of the balcony out into the skies over the sand sea. However, the giant scorpion was not just going to do nothing about it. She hurriedly thrust her outstretched stinger into the wall of this watchtower, tossing its massive body up, twisting its body midair as it desperately tried to get back onto the balcony.
Marok.
What prevented it from making its way back was a single chanted word. This direction-imbued mana interfered with the reality around them, bringing about effects into the world that would normally not occur on their own. This time, its effect had been to block the giant scorpion's return. The scorpion was caught by a gust of wind as it desperately tried to land onto the balcony. Its body was swept back by the sandy breeze, sending it far off trajectory. How strong was the turbulence would it have to be for it to blow away the scorpion's colossal body? It was utterly massive, weighing at least several hundred kilograms, though things were not as they seemed. Mark was a kind of yin magic that manipulated the gravity tugging at its target. To put it briefly, it was quite natural that its body had ended up being unable to move as it normally did, considering now it weighed as much as a speck of dust. That was all there was to it. The giant scorpion let out a pained cry before being thrown back once again from the balcony. Immediately, it swung its stinger in an attempt to snipe those in the tower, having given up on getting back. But that came a step too late.
Feathered Molchan!
The girl's imposing command gave way to a rush of blows that hurled towards the giant scorpion as it blew away in the breeze. Witch beasts, with what seemed to be bird feathers sprouting from them and most of their heads morphed into a horn, dove towards her. One by one, they shot themselves straight at the scorpion's shell, and although they did not damage it, they were still able to push her further and further away with each impact, keeping her away from the tower. Even as great as a scorpion as she was not going to be able to shift her body weight around without someone to support her. Just like that, after the wind had blown her away, the magic was cancelled, making her fall headlong towards the ground. They were hundreds of meters above the ground, but she was not the kind of opponent who would be done in by something like that, though as it sufficed as a means for buying time, thus he would make use of this brief reprieve.
Meili! Echidna!
Natsuki-kun, have you pulled yourself together yet?
Echidna looked upon with a frown as Subaru rushed over to her. Then, with a pensive look adorning Anastasia's face, she continued her words.
Perchance, have you gotten your memories back?
This is going to save me a lot of time. Though, how did you know?
It is obvious. Otherwise, Beatrice would not be sporting such a proud look next to you.
Echidna jerked her chin at Beatrice, who was looking rather smug as she held Subaru's hand. Indeed, it was plain as day that Beatrice's mood had lifted for the better. Plus, the fact that she could not hide this show of emotion of hers really was lovely. Of course, Echidna's insight was superb as well, no mistake about that. Following from it, she shifted her gaze to look behind Subaru, at Amelia, who had delivered a flying kick to the giant scorpion just before.
And this girl I do not recognize?
It's due to the authority of gluttony. She's victim to it, just like Julius is. They're all forgotten, other than by the person themselves. Her name is Amelia, my tough yet adorable princess.
I appreciate you getting me up to speed so quickly. Even so, the tower both inside and outside is an utter mess. Would you mind if I were to ask you what we will do about it?
You can. I've already got an answer ready for that.
Subaru gave her a deep nod. Behind him, Amelia spread out her arms and sent countless shards of ice up into the air. She waited a moment and then unleashed them all, their ferocious power tearing into the witch beasts soaring through the skies as well as those on the ground. Although Subaru could not see it from where he was, they had also certainly pierced into the giant scorpion who had fallen beneath, yet her attack had only been a drop in the ocean with all these witch beasts that they had in front of them.
Echidna, you're going to take over inside! First, you're going to meet back up with Julius on the second floor where he's fighting. I've told Amelia what to do after that.
I have no issues leaving together with her. But what are you and Beatrice going to do, Natsuki-kun?
Buddy and Subaru's roles are set, in fact.
Echidna hesitated for a moment before giving her answer. Beatrice replied back, before raising her eyes up in admiration to look at Subaru's face in profile, firmly giving his hand a squeeze.
We're going to deal with that giant scorpion here, I suppose. We're going to have to go easy on her, so that we don't accidentally kill her. What a bother, in fact.
She sure talks big, doesn't she? That's my Bearco for you.
Bleh, I suppose.
After voicing out her boasts as if trying to rouse both herself and her contractor, Beatrice stuck her tongue out. Echidna's eyes grew wider as she witnessed their exchange, followed by a shake of her head. Rather than wasting time arguing, it would be better for her to believe that this was the best way to go about things and commit to it. Indeed, it was so typical of Anastasia to have that instinct that allowed her to make split-second decisions.
There is no doubting that your opinions have come as a great help for us pretty much everywhere else inside this tower. That is why it seems to me that handing over this place to you would give their best chances of winning.
I feel honored, though I can't help but feel bad that you've ended up with Echidna's name.
Regarding the matter of that deep influence my creator has, I would like to find an opportunity to have a proper discussion about this after we settle things. Is there anything you want me to pass on to Julius?
Echidna tacked that question onto the end just before she turned her back to leave. Subaru could still sense Julius fighting a floor above them using the effects of Corleonis. Now that he thought about it, this meant that he had met back up with all his friends inside the Now that he thought about it, this meant that he had met back up with all his friends inside the tower, bar him. Given that Julius had also been really worried about him back when he had lost his memories, Subaru wondered whether he needed to tell him that he had gotten them back. However,
Nope, not really.
he had no words that he needed to tell Julius Juculius, who lay locked in combat with Rita Estrella. After all, Subaru's plan had been to assign the best people to their most suitable posts amidst this dismal state of affairs. That's why he had gone around talking to them after all. He had needed to reshuffle their roles. However, he did not need to do that for Julius, because his post lay nowhere else but against Rita Estrella.
At this point, I can literally only say, attaboy to him. He'd still end up going to Reed, even if I didn't mention anything.
Thanks to that, he had been able to talk with Shaula before she had transformed into the giant scorpion. The familiar words of love she had uttered in the end had provided Subaru with a boundless strength. A fire had been lit in his heart upon telling her that he would definitely help her. So that was why.
Everything I needed to say has already been said by the previous me, as well as the me a little before that. I don't have anything else to add now. He's Julius Jaculius, after all.
Natsuki Subaru fully acknowledged that an unyielding fate existed in this world. The many problems shrouding the watchtower were impossible to avoid. They would always rear their ugly heads at them, but being unavoidable and unsurmountable were two completely different stories. If it were fate for Rita Estrella to stand against Julius, then what came beyond that was also inevitable. The one who would slay Rita Estrella reborn was Julius Jaculius.
I see. I will just tell him that as is then.
Oh, wait. There's something. Since everyone's having a hard time here, tell him to hurry his ass and settle things there. Then come give some tsukadachi to the others.
Subaru waved at Echidna as she began to rush off to her duties with a strange smile on her face. After seeing her off, he turned towards Amelia, who was busy cutting down a pair of witch beasts with the Sword of Ice over by where Echidna was heading to.
Amelia-tan! It's going to be just as we discussed. I'm counting on you, Amelia-tan.
Leave it to me. You're the one who mustn't die here, Subaru.
Of course I won't!
Amelia's words were only natural. However, they made Subaru raise his fist, feeling more overwhelmed than usual. He did not want to die. The reason for that remained unchanged, but now he had more reasons as why he needed to avoid it on all costs. The dangers of returning by death in this situation were nigh unspeakable. If his restart point had not changed, then he would return to a point before he had separated Louis Arneb along with her witch factor from himself. As for what kind of trouble that would bring, neither he nor anyone else could know. Would Louis vanish from Subaru's body or not? The Hall of Memories lay somewhat out of the normal scheme of things, so he did not know whether it would avoid the effects of his return by death. Everything was so unclear, so that meant...
This time, we're going to settle things here!
Following Subaru's affirmation, Amelia grabbed a hold of Echidna and left the balcony. The girls would be going to the respective field of battle, and likewise, so would Subaru and his group.
What now? All of that sounded like gibberish to me. Any chance you could explain that to me properly?
Amelia had been patient and not interrupted his conversation with Echidna, but she had called out to him upon noticing that only he and Beatrice had remained on the balcony. Subaru gave her a thumbs up and flashed her a devilish smile, displaying his teeth. There had only been one reason why Subaru had not called out to Amelia in these last moments. Like Julius, she was already in her ideal field of battle.
I'm sorry, Maylie, but you're going to be joining us. Me, you, and Bearco are going to be holding down two of these corners. The gigantic scorpion and the swarm of witch beasts.
That's really not much of an explanation.
Here she comes, in fact.
He did not have the time to give Amelia a more detailed explanation as she gave a swing of her braided hair with a puff of her cheeks. The very next instant, a massive creature jumped up from the outer wall of the balcony onto the tower. The very next instant, a massive creature jumped up from the outer wall of the tower onto the balcony, as if in response to what Beatrice had said. The creature had a jet black shell, red compound eyes, and ferocious-looking pincers.
So, you're a 400-year-old hikikomori, yeah?
Subaru let out a quick sigh before nimbly picking up Beatrice by his side and snuggling her into his arms. Then, along with Maylie, who had rushed over to join them, they came face to face with the giant scorpion. Faced with their enemy, who was still silently glaring at them, he gave a small smile.
This is a hikikomori showdown. She over there clocks in about 400 years, whereas us two over here clock in 401.
Isn't 402 more correct when you count all three of us?
In other words, we're gonna win!
I don't get what any of this means, other than the part that you said about winning, I suppose.
Held in his arms, Beatrice shouted at Subaru and Maylie for joking about together, and just like that, surrounded by the right amount of tension, he glared at this giant scorpion and let out a sigh. Now things had shaped up to become his foreseen matchups. All that was left now.
I'm seriously counting on you, Amelia-tan. You're the key to everything.
The battle against the four corners enclosing Pleiades' watchtower had officially begun. And that's the chapter! Oh.
We lost Connor halfway
Titanic
through.
Scorpion!
Titanic Scorpion!
Yes,
Titanic Scorpion.
The way my body recoiled.
I could not prevent myself from grinning. I was like, no, Titanic Scorpion.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for cackling halfway through. Every time you flubbed and did the wah sound, it absolutely took me out. I couldn't. It was that last time I was like, all right, I can't. We have a moment. I must.
And then that one I flubbed 3 times. That fucking row, like,
It was good.
and then the narrator died.
They're in or not. It's okay. These chapters are a little rough. They're a little lot rough.
There was so much just like, oh, that's a monologue for me. That's narration monologue.
We've given up on doing a full edit of each chapter because it's just so much extra work. We're like, you know what? We're just gonna fucking throw our way through it. Arc 7, we're gonna go clutch. Arc 6, it's okay. We're just gonna get through.
Yeah, in the official fucking edit or quote unquote edit put out, they're gonna hear he was like
but great work, everyone. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, good work. Ooh.
It's okay, Connor. I hope your PC is good. You're welcome to join back if Discord is working.
Yes.
Rash. That was a very fun chapter.
There was a very, or at least a confusing section for me because or at least Subaru was talking to Melee at some point before he came in with a flying kick, and I was like, wait, what are you? Wait, okay, he was, and then the narration was talking about Subaru's line or the lines that we have as Subaru, like they were supposed to be Echidna's lines.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was a little, yeah. I was like, huh, what's going on here?
Yeah, I was like, someone, or like, this is bad Jews that are limit Melee. How's it looking on your end? I was like, wait, doesn't he come in like you know, in a bit with a fucking flying kick?
The whole scene was so odd because at one point I thought Anastasia and Subaru were far apart, which is why I was yelling at Anastasia, and then I realized, oh, they're right next to each other. When did that happen?
Yeah, no, they're both all about it. I was like, whoa.
Why am I yelling?
I sprinted in there.
You sprinted, you heard from far away, and you...
I think it might actually be Echidna instead.
Well, it's definitely Melee's dialogue at one point.
Yeah, it's definitely a Melee for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah. See, these Arc 6 is just a bit of a mess, and honestly, after going through Arc 6 so much as we've been doing and rereading it after reading it, I'm like, you know what? I understand why no one's come back to fix it. I don't. Once we get through these next edits, I never want to touch Arc 6 again. I love it. We've lived here. I've done enough here. I'm fucking good. This tower is too cramped. Get me out of here.
Get me out! Get me out! And then after you get out of the tower, you have the opposite problem where it's coordination hell, where you have 5 million characters to deal with.
We're jumping from one perspective to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. Which also, I love that with the ADHD in me, and also having so many of us read at the same time, so we're not all like, oh my god. Thank you all for letting me cover so much today. The past few streams, I've literally been like going crazy, doing nothing, just doing the stream. Today I could focus on the stream, so thank you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, all the chapters that we just went through right before this were all like, there's nobody but Subaru.
Louis, narrator, and nobody wanted me narrating again. My several crash outs, I ain't narrating again. No thanks. Pre-recorded only. I ain't doing this shit live.
So funny, dude.
Fuck.
That crash out was so funny.
I'm just glad I'm not the only one who crashes out over it. That's all that matters. After read Titanic Scorpion once again. It is not the same size, so it doesn't match. All right. Now I'm getting us off track. I think with that, everybody, I think we are done for the day.
Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the chapters.
We have an incredibly exhausted Wolf.
Yes.
And probably a very incredibly exhausted Common. And me and Al, who are here.
Yeah, we're here.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. We'll see you next Wednesday with the next chapters.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.